everybody. We are back, the property power couple, Colton and Haleigh. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we've got a bunch of great stuff to cover.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we know that real estate is hyper local. You know, it doesn't really globally, right? Nationally, it's a good thing to have, just to kind of understand where things are going. But specifically in our marketplace, one marketplace to another, it's always going to be different.
Oh, yeah, and since we are in DFW and Ellis County, we do fall into this great little bubble.
Yeah.
DFW talks about a lot how we're in this bubble, and we're going to really dive into Ellis County specifically.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So really looking at where things are at today, you know, that median list price is around $440,000. There's a lot of inventory on the market compared to what we've seen previously, right?
Yeah, so I think nationally we're hearing a lot of really scary stuff. We're hearing a lot of things like, you know, real estate is, you know, crashing, or all these horrible buzzwords that are very negative. And when we look at our stuff for Ellis County, we see a lot of positivity. Everything on our graphs that we're seeing, all the data we're collecting, has a little green up arrow.
We like green.
Right? So nothing's crazy going down, anything. I thought it was really interesting that when we pulled up these stats, what was the median price in July?
In July,
it was like 420.
oh yeah, 420.
420, and then for January,
We've seen it increase to 440.
so everything's falling. The sky is falling. Yet in Ellis County, that median price is still going up.
Yeah. Well, and I think what's even more encouraging is that, you know, that amount of inventory, right? So ideally, you do see things kind of stabilize, and I think we're not seeing that massive price increase that we were seeing. We are seeing you know, stabilization, which is nice.
Yeah, one of the statistics that we were looking at that we like to track a lot is what percentage of list price are things selling at.
Yeah.
Because during COVID and all of that, obviously it was different and things were going for crazy over. So that stat was hanging out like 102%, right? And sometimes even higher. Well, now I believe it was at like 97. And so
Yeah,
97.6, yeah. So now we're at 97, which means that buyers are able to negotiate again, that stuff is happening. And, you know, yeah, we're into 2024 now, so some things are shifting and changing, but I just find it really encouraging that in Ellis County, that price was still going up, great for sellers, but the percentage of list price is at 97,
Right.
which is beautiful because that means that they're able to actually, you know, either maybe get some closing costs or maybe negotiate that down to help out with their monthly payment, you know, with rates and everything like that. So I think it's all really encouraging from a Ellis County perspective.
Well, and even from the buyer's perspective, you know, you have a little more leverage now.
Yeah.
It's not just okay, let's take the biggest bag of money we can and take it to the table and see if we can make it work. You know, you're seeing home warranties being covered again. You're seeing some negotiation actually occur as opposed to, please just let us buy your house. Right.
I think that's really important, and all of those things are starting to happen. So on an even smaller scale, if we're just looking at the last 7 days.
Okay.
So I've been watching this. This is something that we talk to our agents about a lot, about knowing your numbers, about waking up and looking at it. Because the worst thing is whenever someone says, how's the market? And you say, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean,
it is. Tell me more.
But when you can have a couple of those little tidbits, you know, a couple of things that you're looking at every day to work in the market, to know your stuff. So in the last 7 days, 78 new listings came in Ellis County.
Yeah.
78. That's a lot, right? That's over 2 a day. I mean, we're getting up there. You know, when you hear, oh, no, there's no inventory, no one's selling, no one's doing this, you know, you can hear a lot of negativity. That number sounds really positive to me.
Yeah.
37 things went under contract and 80 things went into pending. So, you know, it goes from active listing to under contract to pending to closed. That's kind of the evolution. Sometimes you skip the option period if it's a property that you wouldn't actually need an inspection on or something like that. But for the most part, those are the steps.
Yeah.
So that means that 37 things went under contract, but 80 went from that inspection option period to pending, meaning that we are about to close on these.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Let's get an appraisal. Let's get it done.
Absolutely. And then 49 things closed in the last 7 days.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. We love closings. Yeah. We want Ellis County to have closings.
Yeah.
It's our favorite day, closing day. You know, and there's only a couple things that withdrew or went into holding mode and things like that. So really overall, these numbers are great. It says 11 things had a price increase, but 103 did have a price decrease, which we just proved that with the other one that you were just looking at that said the 97%. So yes, things are maybe having a price decrease, but we're kind of back to that. If we don't get the activity in 2 weeks, then let's go ahead and drop that price.
Right.
We're allowing it to get out on the market, to get everywhere, and then maybe do a price drop.
Well, and I think too, the message to sellers out there also is that, you know, depending on when you bought your house and kind of what your personal individual situation looks like, there's likely way more equity than you could have ever imagined in that home. You know, there's cash available there if you're looking to upgrade or you've got to make a change, whatever it may be. That you also have options. Yeah. And, you know, I thought one thing I wanted to point out too was, what do you make of this average days on market?
When is it right now?
60.
60?
Yeah.
I think that's actually okay.
Yeah.
You know, average days on market being 0, being 3, being 7 because we just had to have enough time to filter through all the offers and stuff. That was really intense. 60 days is good for everyone. Yeah. I really think that. It means that the buyers are able to actually go shopping. They're actually able to look at a house, maybe even go back and have a second showing, maybe be able to show the other person that wasn't able to be there the first day, you know, maybe actually be able to swing by the open house and then have enough time to still make sure that that's the one they really want to buy. Right. It is the largest investment most people make in their life. And so it's a big deal. I think it's great that you're going to be able to have an opportunity to go and make sure that's really the right one. You know, look at a couple of them.
Well, and one of the things too, we were talking earlier about this idea of remote workers and kind of careers and life changing as a result of all the stuff that's gone on. And most recently with a couple of buyers I've spoken to, it's been, well, you know, we bought this house and we love it, but also we work from home now and we need that office. Yeah. We need those things. And so, you know, that old idea of it's old, but it's relevant, that people are always needing to make a move, career, work, life, babies, whatever the case may be. And I just thought that was fascinating. That's like all of a sudden we really have to have that at-home office. We've
always asked the question, you know, it's always been in my buyer packets, my buyer questionnaires, how many beds, how many baths, and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, well, you know, we need 4 bedrooms. Okay, well, who's all living in the home? Right? That's another way to ask it without having to say, how many bedrooms do you want? Right? Who's all living in the home? Oh, well, we only have 2 kids, but I actually work from home, so I need that 4th bedroom. Right. Okay, well, an office would work, or a bedroom. Yeah, we just need the space. So now, instead of even just trying to go the back way, it's one of our first questions. Will anybody be working from home? Is anybody remote working? Now it's one of the first things, because then we know it's all human data entry. So I might consider it a 4th bedroom, but you might consider it an office. Oh, yes. So we can't limit your search. We don't want to hinder what your opportunities are by changing that and saying we must have 4 bedrooms or it must have a true office. So that's a lot of times why you'll see some broader stuff whenever people are starting to search. But now, because it's one of those top questions, we know instantly when we start looking at it, is that going to work? Right. Does it even have a space to work from home? You know, we've also seen a lot of like dining, formal dining areas been turned into workspace, right? Where they can have their cute little chairs and their bookshelf and their desk and everything. And it feels really good and it looks really good and it's open and it's airy instead of like a bedroom that might not have the same kind of vibe. And so now that's our first question we're asking buyers. Right. Is anybody going to be working from home? I don't always work from home, but now 2 days a week I'm able to work from home. Yeah, or maybe I want to, but now or my goal is to get this next promotion that allows me to be, half remote and not, because I know like your brother, he was during COVID, he was home the entire time, but we helped them pick a house that had 2 office spaces. Right. Because they were both going to be working from home. Yeah. Now he's coming and going. He's like half and half, right? Yeah. But they still use that. Yeah. And he uses it every day. Oh, so it's a really big deal. And so I think that even looking at now my sister and her husband are moving, and that was a big deal. Trey wanted his space. He wanted his office, even though he goes to work. They're moving farther from me so that they're closer to him for work, which I understand.
Farther from us. We're both not.
Really, it's farther from Kinley. That's the biggest thing. Kinley is not loving that Cookie is moving, but it is a nice 31-minute nap for her in the car as needed. So, but with that, he needed his space, plus she actually will be working from home.
Yeah.
She will be able to be more remote and be moving around everywhere, which I think is awesome because she chose that flexibility in her career, which is beautiful. And we had to make sure we had 2 spaces, that there was enough space for them both to be able to have that lifestyle.
Well, and I think you said it a little bit earlier that, this idea that people can actually shop now. Before, when there's not that much inventory and you feel like you're rushed to make this decision, you've got to move now, and whatever it is, there's usually a sense of urgency behind it.
Yeah.
And what I think we've seen is that being able to sit down with clients, because we have a little bit of time, right?
Yeah.
Now it's not all the time, but we have some time to really sit down and to make sure that we know exactly what those needs are, right?
Yeah, we can really go through a needs determination, actually be able to help find all of those wants and needs.
Well, the not the old days of it, but that idea of just showing up and meeting somebody at a house for the first time it's not necessarily a necessity this time, right?
Yeah,
we have the time to really be able to do our jobs effectively.
Get them in the office.
Yeah.
Get them in there, sit down, go through our buyer presentation, tell them what to expect, tell them the timelines and the contracts and all of that kind of stuff. And then let's go find things that work.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And from a seller perspective, you have to get ready a little bit earlier now.
Yeah.
Right? I think planning is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, if you know that you want to move in this time frame, knowing that the average days on market is 60, that means that, we need to be talking about this 90 days out. Get you ready to rock. Let's get you live. It still takes 30 days to close.
Right.
30 days to get through that process, and the days on market stop counting whenever you go under contract because it's days on market from that perspective.
Right.
So, you want to make sure that we have all that time. So if you're a seller thinking about it, oh, well, everything is just selling so fast, right? Or it's going to take me a year and a half, whichever data is coming at you.
Yeah.
Knowing that for Ellis County, you need to have 60 days prepared.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's great to know though, because a lot of times when we're in those meetings and it's like, well, what's your ideal timeline? And it's like, well, I'd like to have it, an offer in a couple of weeks. And it's like, well, let me show you the data.
Yeah, well, in a couple of weeks is even kind of gracious. Typically we get, as fast as possible.
Yeah.
I want to make as much money as I can as fast as possible.
Well, but this idea of just really kind of educating people on what the market really is doing, which is what we're doing here,
Yeah.
but helping them understand that this is where we're at, this is what's going on, and setting those expectations appropriately is huge.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, from a real estate agent perspective, get on, know these numbers, be able to talk about it. And from a seller perspective, reach out to a true professional who's going to be knowing these things. Same thing for the buyer.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to talk about this kind of stuff. You need to know what's going on. And it really is encouraging for our area, at least.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. We're going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you for coming, and come back soon. You can find us on all of our social medias, btrgpm.com, Better Together Realty Group, Next Home on Main. See you next time.
Yeah. Okay.